I found out my brother stole my life at 2 in the morning. Couldn't sleep, scrolling through emails, when I saw it. Subject line, "Congratulations, Marcus Reeves, SXSW Commission." From Rolling Stone. They were praising his revolutionary design for the South by Southwest interactive stage. I clicked the attachment. My hands started shaking. It was my design. Every detail, every angle, every innovation I'd spent 6 months perfecting, but the signature at the bottom read, Marcus Reeves, Creative Director. Not inspired by my work, not similar to my concept, my exact design, pixel for pixel, line for line, with his name on it. This wasn't idea theft. This was identity theft. 8 hours earlier, I'd made a different discovery. Opened an email meant for Marcus by mistake. Our names are both on the company payroll system, and the accountant got confused. His salary, $180,000, plus health insurance, plus 15% profit share. Mine, $52,000, classified as consultant. No benefits, 1,099 status. But the real knife in the gut was the attachment. A contract with ACL Music Festival, the Austin City Limits project I'd designed entirely alone last year. Marcus was listed as Creative Director. I was listed as Technical Support. Technical support. For work that came completely from my brain, my hands, my sleepless nights. I walked into my father's office at 8 a.m., payroll documents in hand. Gene Reeves, 62 years old, founder of Reeves Events, looked up from his coffee. Why is Marcus making 3.5 times what I make for work I designed? I expected anger, defensiveness, denial. Instead, Dad just looked tired. Because clients don't want to work with women, Diana. He said it like explaining basic math. They want Marcus. I'm protecting you by keeping your name off contracts. Protecting me. That word hung in the air like poison gas. You're not protecting me. You're erasing me. I'm keeping this company alive, which keeps you employed. 10 years ago, I came home from Savannah College of Art and Design with a degree in experiential design and a portfolio that made professors cry. 24 years old, ready to change the industry. My first client meeting, I presented a stage design for a tech conference. The client, a 50-year-old man in an expensive suit, only spoke to Dad and Marcus. Called me, "Sweetie," asked if I could get everyone coffee. After the meeting, Dad pulled me aside. "You did great work, kiddo, but next time, let Marcus present. They need to see a man's face to sign the check." I thought it was temporary, a strategy until the company grew, until I proved myself, until things changed. I was so stupid. I found Marcus in the design studio, headphones on, pretending to work. "We need to talk about the SXSW credit." I expected him to lie, to gaslight me, to defend himself. Instead, he pulled off his headphones and said, "I know, and I hate it." I wasn't prepared for honesty. "I've been telling Dad for 3 years to put your name on contracts," Marcus continued. "He refuses, says clients will pull out if they know a woman designed it." He ran his hands through his hair. "Last month, I told a client you designed their stage. They said, 'We didn't pay for some girl's art project. We paid for Marcus Reeves.' Dad made me lie and say I was being humble. The villain wasn't my brother. It was the entire industry, and our father's complicity. I drove home thinking about Mom. She died 5 years ago, cancer. Fast and brutal. In her last weeks, when morphine made her honest, she'd grabbed my hand. 'Don't let them make you small, baby. You're the best designer I've ever seen.' Her very last words, the day before she died. 'Promise me you'll put your name on something big.' I'd promised, and then spent 5 years breaking that promise because I was afraid of disappointing Dad, afraid of rocking the boat, afraid of being difficult. Mom would be so ashamed of me. Here's what I didn't do. Quit in a dramatic rage, storm out, burn bridges. Instead, I decided to prove Dad wrong. Find a client willing to work with a female designer. Create something so perfect he'd have to acknowledge me. Force him to see that his fear was killing my career. Not revenge. Proof. For Mom, even though she was gone, maybe especially because she was gone, I needed to show her I kept my promise. Even if she'd never see it. The email arrived the next morning. Meteor Festival, a new startup music festival with a $2 million budget looking for a stage designer. The founder's name caught my eye. Sienna Park, 29, Korean-American tech entrepreneur pivoting into entertainment. Her requirements. Want fresh perspective. Tired of old white guys designing the same boring stages. This was it. The perfect client. Young, female, explicitly looking for something different. But Dad would never let me lead this pitch. He'd send Marcus, like always. I'd design it. Marcus would present it. And my name would disappear again. Unless I changed the game. Marcus found me in the parking lot that evening. I heard about Meteor. I'm going to tell Dad I'm too busy. You should pitch directly to Sienna. Why would you do that? Because I'm tired of being praised for your genius. He looked genuinely miserable. And honestly, I'm not even that good. Clients love me because I look the part white guy, deep voice, firm handshake. But you're the real thing, Diana. First time in 10 years, I had an ally. And it was the person I thought was my enemy. If Dad finds out, let me worry about Dad. I met Sienna at a coffee shop in East Austin. Didn't mention Reeves events. Used my personal portfolio, the designs that never saw daylight. Sienna flipped through my tablet, eyes getting wider. This is exactly what I wanted. You're hired. My heart was pounding. I work independently, so... Good. I want you, not some company where you're listed as the assistant. She pulled out her phone. Let's sign the contract Monday. I need this locked in. I smiled and nodded. But inside, I was panicking. I needed Reeves Events infrastructure, the vendors, the crew, the permits. I couldn't pull this off alone. But I also couldn't tell Sienna I worked for my father's company. She'd insist on working with Marcus. I'd just trapped myself. I became two people overnight. Diana, the consultant, worked at Reeves Events 9 to 6. Diana, the independent designer, worked on Meteor Festival 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. 3 hours of sleep a night. Red Bull for breakfast. Adderall that I'd been prescribed for ADHD but was now definitely abusing. Marcus covered for me with Dad. Told him I was taking personal time to deal with stress. Which wasn't technically a lie. I was designing the most important project of my life while pretending to file paperwork at my family's company. Living a double life in my own city. 3 weeks in, a lighting vendor mentioned Diana's Meteor project to Dad. Casual conversation. Didn't know it was a secret. Dad called me into his office. I expected rage. Instead, he looked hurt. Why didn't you tell me? I could have helped. Because you would have put Marcus's name on it. That's not fair, Diana. Isn't it? I met his eyes. Name one contract in 10 years with my name as lead designer. He couldn't. We both knew it. Dad leaned back in his chair. Fine. You want to prove yourself? Do Meteor. But if you fail, you admit I was right about clients not trusting women. And if I succeed? Then I'll put your name on the next contract. He paused. As co-designer. With Marcus. Not sole designer. Still sharing credit. Still splitting recognition. But it was better than invisible. It was a crack in the door. Deal, I said, hating myself for accepting scraps. The workload was killing me. Literally. I passed out twice at my desk. Forgot to eat for 2 days straight. Showed up to a vendor meeting still wearing yesterday's clothes. Meteor Festival, 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. Reeves Events, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. 3 hours of sleep, if I was lucky. My hands shook constantly. My vision blurred. I kept forgetting words mid-sentence. But I couldn't stop. This was my one chance. If I failed, Dad would never give me another. Sleep-deprived paranoia made me Google Sienna Park at 3 in the morning. What I found made my blood run cold. Sienna's father, James Park. CEO of a tech giant that had partnered with Reeves Events 5 years ago. Worse, James Park had sexually harassed me at a company holiday party when I was 26, cornered me in a hallway, put his hand on my waist, whispered something vile. I'd reported it to Dad. Dad's response: "He's our biggest client. Just avoid him at events." Did Sienna know? Was this a setup? Revenge for something her father did? I asked her directly. "Do you know my family worked with your dad?" Sienna's face went cold. "I know. That's exactly why I hired you. I don't understand. My father assaulted 3 women at his company. I reported him to the board. They covered it up." Her voice was ice. "So I left, started my own company. When I saw your portfolio, I recognized your style from my dad's events. I knew you were the real talent behind Reeves Events." She leaned forward. "I wanted to hire you specifically, to give you what your family never did credit. We weren't strangers. We were survivors of the same type of men." 2 weeks before the festival, everything collapsed at once. The main stage design had a structural flaw I'd missed in my exhaustion. A vendor pulled out after discovering I wasn't with an established company. The budget overran by 30% because I had no experience managing money at this scale. I had my first full panic attack in a Home Depot parking lot, hyperventilating, vision tunneling, convinced I was dying. Maybe Dad was right. Maybe I wasn't ready. Maybe women really couldn't handle this pressure. Dad showed up at the meteor site the next morning. "I heard you're in trouble. I can handle it. You're $200,000 over budget and your permits are a mess. Let me help." I was desperate, drowning. "Okay." Within 48 hours, Dad made calls. Vendors returned. A structural engineer fixed the stage. Permits got approved. Everything that had taken me weeks to break, he fixed in 2 days. But there was a condition. "I'm adding Reeves Events as co-producer on the contract, for liability purposes." I'd just lost control of my own project. The updated contract arrived from Meteor's lawyer. Producer, Reeves Events LLC. Creative Director, Marcus Reeves. Associate Designer, Diana Reeves. I called Sienna, voice shaking. "What happened?" She sounded tired, defeated. "Your dad called my lawyer, said you're not licensed, the company has insurance, liability issues," my board insisted. "But you wanted me." "I know. I'm sorry, Diana. I tried." Dad hadn't helped me. He'd hijacked my project, and he'd done it so smoothly that even Sienna couldn't fight it. Marcus confronted Dad that night. I heard them screaming from the parking lot. "This is fucked up. You promised her." "I saved the project. Diana would have gotten sued." "You sabotaged her. You wanted her to fail so you could swoop in." Dad's voice went quiet, honest for the first time. "She's not ready, maybe in 5 years, but not now. She'll never be ready in your eyes. And you'll always be mediocre in mine." Dad's voice cracked. "But you're a man, so clients overlook it." Finally, the truth. Dad knew Marcus wasn't talented. He just didn't care. I finished Meteor Festival with Marcus's name on the contract. Opening night. 15,000 people. The stage spectacular under purple lights. Reviews calling it revolutionary and the future of festival design. Marcus stood on stage accepting congratulations. I stood backstage, invisible, again. Sienna found me in the shadows. "I'm so sorry." "It's not your fault. This is how it always goes." I meant it. I wasn't even angry anymore, just tired. After the festival, I drove to the cemetery, sat next to Mom's headstone in the dark. I tried. I really tried. But maybe I'm not strong enough to fight them. I cried for the first time in 10 years. Not angry tears. Defeated tears. I can't win in their game, so I need to leave the game entirely. The grass was wet. The stars were out. Mom didn't answer because she was dead, and I'd broken my promise to her. My phone rang. Unknown number. "Diana Reeves? This is Priya Mehta from Coachella Productions." My heart stopped. Coachella. the biggest music festival in North America. How did you get my number? Sienna Park gave it to me. Said you designed Meteor. I need to hire you. It was a team effort. Cut the shit! Priya's voice was sharp, amused. I've been in this industry 20 years. I know ghost designers when I see them. Your brother couldn't design his way out of a paper bag. I want you. Priya's pitch was simple. Design the second stage for Coachella 2025. $5 million budget. Credit line. Diana Reeves, lead designer. Contract directly with me, not Reeves Events. The catch? It's in 4 months. You'd have to quit your family company. Work exclusively for us. 4 months. My name, my design, everything I'd ever wanted. Can I think about it? You have 24 hours. I hung up, shaking. This was it. The door out. But walking through it meant walking away from my family forever. That night, Dad called a family celebration dinner for Meteor's success. At the restaurant, he toasted, to Marcus and to Diana for her support work. Then the announcement, I've decided Diana will be Associate Creative Director on all future projects. 20% raise. Your name on the website. Marcus looked at me, eyebrows raised. What about lead designer? Dad smiled. In time. We don't want to scare clients. This was the prize. Forever as number 2. Associate. Assistant. Almost, but not quite. I looked at my water glass and realized this was as good as it would ever get. I emailed Priya at midnight. I'm in. Didn't tell my family. Not yet. First, I needed an exit strategy. Because quitting wouldn't be simple. Dad would fight, threaten, manipulate. I'd watched him destroy competitors. I knew what he was capable of. I needed leverage. I pulled out my 1099 contract, the one classifying me as an independent consultant. Read it with new eyes. No intellectual property transfer clause. No non-compete agreement. Nothing binding me to Reeves Events beyond project-by-project work. Because Dad had been cheap. Used a free legal template. Never had a real lawyer review it. Which meant I owned every design I'd ever created. Every stage, every concept, every innovation. It was all legally mine. He'd been so focused on erasing my name, he forgot to actually own my work. Marcus drunk called me at 2 a.m. I need to tell you something. You're drunk. 3 years ago, I tried to quit. His words slurred together. Told Dad I wanted to teach music production. He said if I left, he'd write me out of the will. Everything would go to you. I sat up in bed. What? He knew you'd never leave. So he keeps me as the face, keeps you as the worker, and we're both trapped. It's not about sexism. It's about control. Dad wasn't just exploiting me. He was imprisoning both of us. I walked into Dad's office the next morning. Contract in hand. I'm taking the Coachella job. Dad didn't look up from his computer. No, you're not. I'm a 1099 contractor. I can leave any time. You'll violate your non-compete. I smiled. First time I'd smiled in his office in years. My contract doesn't have one. You used a free template, remember? To save money on legal fees? Dad's face changed. For the first time in my life, I saw him afraid. Dad didn't yell, didn't threaten. Instead, he went for my heart. Your mother would be so disappointed. I felt the air leave my lungs. Don't you dare. She begged me on her deathbed to keep this family together. And you're going to destroy it for your ego? Using Mom's memory as a weapon. The cruelest thing he'd ever done. This isn't about ego. Then stay. For her. Honor her memory by keeping our family business alive. I almost broke. Almost believed him. But then I remembered Mom's actual last words. Not the ones Dad was inventing. That night, I went through Mom's things in our attic. Boxes I hadn't opened since she died. At the bottom of one box, a letter. Addressed to me. To Diana. Open when you're ready to fly. My hands shook as I opened it. Baby, If you're reading this, it means you're trying to leave your father's company. Good. I stayed silent for 30 years. Let him take credit for my designs. He didn't start this company with his ideas. He started it with mine. I made you promise to put your name on something big, but I should have made you promise to put yourself first. Your father is a coward who hides behind talented women. Don't be his next victim. I love you. Leave. Mom hadn't wanted me to keep the family together. She'd wanted me to escape. I brought the letter to the next family dinner. Read it out loud while Dad and Marcus sat frozen. She didn't understand the business, Dad stammered. She was the business. I looked at him with new eyes. Just like I am now. Marcus looked shattered. Mom designed? You never told me. He erased her too, I said quietly. That's what he does. He finds talented women and makes them invisible. Dad didn't yell, didn't defend himself, just sat down, suddenly looking every one of his 62 years. I was nobody. Your mother was the genius. I was just the salesman. His voice was hollow. When she got pregnant with Marcus, clients stopped trusting her, said hormones would make her flaky. So, I took credit. She agreed temporarily. But temporary became permanent. She got sick, and I kept the lie because I didn't know how to admit the truth. He looked at me. I did the same to you because I don't know how to build anything real. I only know how to steal. First honest thing he'd said in 30 years. I appreciate the honesty, I said, but it doesn't change my decision. What do you want? 50% ownership? Your name above Marcus's? I don't want your company anymore, Dad. I stood up. I want my company. And you gave me the legal right when you misclassified me as a contractor to avoid paying benefits. I'd already consulted a lawyer. I owned the intellectual property for 10 years of work. His face went white. Marcus stood up. I'm leaving too. Dad turned to him, betrayed. What? I'm going to teach music production at Austin Community College. $45,000 a year. And I'll actually deserve it. He looked at me. I'll testify about the IP ownership if you need it. Dad was losing both his children in the same moment. The company he'd built on stolen talent was collapsing. Dad sued me for breach of contract, theft of intellectual property, corporate sabotage. I countersued for wage theft, employee misclassification, hostile work environment, and gender discrimination. My evidence: 10 years of emails where Dad explicitly told clients not to put my name on contracts. Payroll documents showing Marcus earned 3.5 times my salary for my work. Dad's lawyer called him 2 weeks later. You're going to lose and it'll cost you $500,000 in penalties. Dad dropped the lawsuit. 4 months later, I stood at the Coachella site watching my stage come to life. The design, the Phoenix. A structure that looked burned and broken at the base, then transformed into wings of light at the peak. Rising from ashes. Obvious symbolism, but true. The crew was 50% women, my hiring policy. The plans had one signature. Diana Reeves, lead designer. My name. Alone. For the first time in my career. Opening night, I saw him in the crowd. Dad. He'd bought a public ticket. Wasn't on the guest list. He watched my stage light up. 15,000 people cheering. The most beautiful thing Reeves Events had ever built, except it wasn't Reeves Events anymore. He came backstage after. Diana, No. I'm proud of you. I don't need that anymore. And I meant it. His pride had been my prison. His approval had been my cage. I walked away. Didn't look back. 6 months later, Reeves Events shut down. Not because of the lawsuit, because without my designs, clients realized Marcus couldn't deliver. Without Marcus's charm, Dad alone couldn't sell. Dad retired, sold the client list to a competitor for pennies on the dollar. I didn't gloat, just felt empty. I'd won, but it didn't feel like victory. It felt like watching something die that should have lived. 1 year after quitting, I went back to the cemetery, brought a photo. the Coachella stage with my name in lights. I did it, Mom. My name, my work. I sat there for a while, then added, but it doesn't feel how I thought it would. Beating Dad wasn't what healed me. Creating without him was. Marcus texted me a photo his first class at community college, 20 students with laptops, all smiling. We'd both escaped. Different paths, same freedom. I went home and started designing my next project. Not for validation, not for approval, just for the pure joy of creating something beautiful. I spent 10 years trying to earn my father's respect. It took me one moment to realize I never needed it. I just needed my own.